So you work for Mercy USA Aid Development Organization that's based on Michigan.
Yes.
What do you do there?
So at Mercy USA for Aid and Development, I'm the Volunteer and Community Engagement Coordinator.
Okay.
That really is mainly work based here in the U.S. It involves, we do some programs here to, help people primarily right now in the Michigan area, but we're hoping to expand that a bit.
Okay.
But it's a primarily international organization. So part of it is also helping people become more aware of the work we do across the world.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. Tell me about the company.
Yeah. So Mercy USA was founded in 1988, and it operates, the headquarters is in Plymouth, Michigan, but they have offices around the world. They do work in places like Gaza. They do daily food aid there right now with our partner on the ground. They also do work in Yemen, also food aid. We do healthcare work and housing and shelter in Syria. We do work in Turkey, refugee aid in Bangladesh. Really kind of all over. But one thing that I tell people about a lot, actually, outside of this podcast even, is the work we do in Somalia.
In Somalia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had programs going there in over 30 years now.
Okay.
We have two countries that we work in East Africa. It's Somalia and Kenya.
Okay.
And our East Africa headquarters office is in Nairobi.
Okay.
But really the work in Somalia, it's two main areas. It's health and nutrition, and then our clean water work.
And how long has that been going on?
A little over 30 years.
So at what part is the organization feel like, okay, hey, this is just taking too long, and let's kind of sort of do self-sufficient type of way for them to kind of sort of take on from there?
So that's one thing that I'll say about Mercy USA is the tagline that we have. Actually, I brought you one of these shirts, actually. Tagline on our shirts is helping people help themselves since 1988.
Okay.
So a lot of it is pretty self-sufficiency based. For example, even just with the Somalia work, if you take a look at our newsletter from last year, just so you know, we do work in Somalia. Also,
I forgot to ask, what part in Somalia?
Yeah, so that's what I was actually just about to tap into that. We Mogadishu, Haran, Galgaduud.
Okay.
And it's kind of all over.
Pretty much East Africa, right?
Yeah. It's need based. Like they assess like where the highest level of need is.
Okay.
So we do work around communities in like Mogadishu, Haran, Galgaduud, but then also they do work that specifically targets like internally displaced people camps, like IDP camps around the area. And it's mainly, there's two elements to the work. It's the health and nutrition work that we do, and that involves like a lot of clinics, especially like mother-child clinics, where they do a lot of nutrition surveillance on pregnant mothers, kind of just making sure like their nutrition needs are met, as well as like sanitation programs in those areas. And that's primarily funded by like UNICEF grants and the Global Fund, which is the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. And a lot of the staff is seconded staff that come from the Ministry of Health in Somalia as well.
Okay. So there's a direct communication with the Ministry of Health in Somalia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but not only that in Africa, but you also the organization throughout in Asia. You guys do provide us some heavy services there too as well. I think I seen Bangladesh was one of it and all that. So the model that it's based on the organizations, right? So is it only for clean water and health, and is there anything else that's kind of sort of part of the services that you guys do provide to those needed area?
So in Somalia, it's mainly the health programs and the water programs, but it really depends on what country we're working in. For example, in Turkey and Syria, after the earthquakes a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We already had an office in Turkey where we were largely working to help refugees from Syria. But we also, when that came, started to do different shelter programs in Turkey and Syria,
Mm-hmm.
like temporary but more secure shelter, like not tents, like building like actual kind of like small homes.
Mm-hmm.
For about like $5,500 each, and they'd have like a kitchen, and they'd have locking doors, windows, things like that. And when they did it, they would make sure to build, if it was in like a small camp, they would build for the whole camp, so that way there wouldn't be one person who's living a better life than the others around them. Tried to keep it pretty consistent and equitable. So that's the housing and shelter work.
Mm-hmm.
In Gaza, originally, we were working with UNRWA. We still do. Which, they've been on the ground in Gaza for a long time. And what we did with them was not just emergency aid. We also did programs for, we helped like build and operate a school for people who are blind or sight impaired. But now that with everything happening in Palestine, we also do we have a partnership with another organization.
What is that?
The Agricultural and Environment Development Society.
Okay.
We do work with them to distribute, during Ramadan, we were distributing hot meals every night. Right now, there's daily bread distribution, meal distribution, as well as when there's the opportunity to build fresh produce, to buy fresh produce from local vendors,
Okay.
we'll buy that and distribute it as well.
Oh, okay.
And then Yemen, which is like a hunger hotspot, big malnutrition issues. We do
Okay.
food aid there.
Okay.
And then you mentioned Bangladesh. We do specifically a lot of aid for refugees who are coming in from Myanmar. So yeah, it really depends on what country we're in. We've done education programs, health programs, water, food. Here in the U.S., we'll do disaster relief. Like we sent teams of volunteers when there was Hurricane Ian, as well as like other natural disasters in the area, flooding in Kentucky.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tell me more about you. Where are you from originally?
So I was born in Chicago, and
Okay.
then I have spent pretty much my entire life in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're American.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're Muslim because
I am.
you started with
I-
Assalamu alaikum
Yes.
with the email. So tell me about that journey.
Yeah, so I was always kind of looking for a connection to faith. And it wasn't until I started studying at, I went to Michigan State University in East Lansing.
Okay.
And there I had a language requirement, so I started studying Arabic. And the more and more I learned about like Arabic, and was also exposed to a lot of Muslims in those classes, and was able to go study in Jordan for a couple months during Ramadan. The more interested I became in Islam, the more I realized I had misconceptions growing up in the U.S. And yeah, it was in March of 2021 I converted to Islam.
Oh, okay.
So it's also just a blessing to be able to work for an organization like Mercy USA. Like, it's not specifically a Muslim organization. It's not faith-based, it's faith-inspired. So those different like values when it comes to helping people, helping your neighbor, helping these like communities be self-sufficient, a lot of that, it feels good to be working with an organization that aligns with my values as a Muslim.
So let's dig into a little bit about some of the things that you're interested in talking about. You said something about a run that's coming up. This is the first. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we're going to be operating our Safe Water Challenge. It's going to be a 5K, 10K run.
Okay.
That's going to be on Saturday, October 12th, so it's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be held in Detroit, but there's also like a virtual option. So essentially you can register for the run. It's cheaper to do the virtual. And if you go do that, you can just like run or walk 5 kilometers. You could do it on your treadmill. You could walk around your neighborhood. You could go to a trail around here. And you just mark that you did it. And also if you sign up for this extra aspect of it, you can also get one of these medals.
Okay.
That say like Safe Water Challenge 5K,
Yeah,
10K.
yeah.
So and then also if you donate enough, you can get access to things like this Safe Water Challenge Camelback water bottle.
Yeah.
It's all to bring awareness, to raise funds and awareness for our Safe Water program in Somalia. We want people to know, that we want them to know if they want to be able to assist in that Mercy USA has this 30-year history where they've built and repaired over 800 wells. And with those wells, they've been able to service communities of around 750,000 people, a bit over that. They're funded, the wells are funded by private donors. So we want people to know that, so that way we can, bring more resources to that work. So it's not just about raising funds, it's about raising that awareness for the project. So, we really want to tell more people about it, not just like outside the Somali community. Like, we want to be able to engage more with the Somali community. That's why we're also talking about hopefully being able to bring this Safe Water Challenge, this run, to the Columbus area. Try to interact more directly with the community here. Like, there's a much larger presence. Be able to get people to come join this run. We're going to be having there's going to be food trucks, there's going to be vendors, things like that. And you can join not just as a runner, you can also join as a fundraiser. You can do it yourself as just a singular person where, sometimes you'll sign up on these websites and you have like a fundraiser link.
Yeah.
And you share that with your friends and community, like, oh, I'm trying to raise $500, or I'm trying to raise, like enough to build a well, can you guys contribute to my link? You can also do it as a team. You could, like, let's say you work at an office, you and your fellow office workers, like, share with your whole network. And at the run, we're going to be like acknowledging the top fundraisers and the top team fundraisers. Yep. You can sign up for the 5K. You can come visit us in Detroit, or you can do it here in Columbus, or wherever your listeners are. There's plenty of good opportunities for that. But we're trying to let people know that, like with drought and flooding and conflict and things like that, the water access is getting more and more difficult. Somalia is a very